Perfect. All right. Thank you for tuning in to 26 Sports. It's your host, Mike Reda, and today I'm on with a very special guest, one of the most known trainers in boxing, period. Always. You already know who it is. You can see it. You know it. The great, the one and only Robert Garcia, man. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So, we just talked, man. You just getting in from training today. How was the day for you guys over there at the gym?
Yeah, last day of training here in my gym with for Jose Ramirez. He's last day of sparring too. So, we're ready. We had a good camp. Like every camp, there's always little things that happen during training camp, and nobody could say they've had a perfect training camp because that's a
No.
lie. We've done hundreds of times, and but at the end, we finished strong. He had great sparring, so it couldn't get any better.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of talk about the opponent because people wanted Regis, they wanted all these other guys, and he's fighting a veteran in Richard Comey. How did that fight come to be, and is it just more of something to get the kinks out up for a bigger fight in the summer?
Well, you know what? I know that Jose was scheduled to fight Regis Prograis, and that's the fight that was supposed to happen. But then, when it went into purse bid and the percentages were just didn't make sense for Jose, because if this is everybody knows this is also a business.
Yeah,
We've seen it happen to many other fighters, and people could say something, but then they get back in the ring and people forget about it. It's just the way boxing is. We at this point, I know it bothers Jose because Jose is one of those very proud persons that if he says something, that's what's going to happen. But his manager, his promoters, ourselves, we just told him, why would you take a fight when you're going to make three times or maybe some close to four times less than what you could make just on a regular stay busy fight?
exactly. And then yeah, like and if it was gonna be in Fresno, right? If he would have fought Regis, regardless.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Regis would have been okay with the fight being in Fresno. That I have no idea. But I know Rick Morrigan works very hard to put those fights together in Fresno, and I know that if he would have pushed for it, I don't know if it would have been able, if he would have been able to pull it off. Because of Regis. Regis is a champion.
Yeah, but if it would have been in Fresno, I understand Jose's wanting to get the bigger purse bid because he's the draw here. He's gonna get more money. I mean, the money would have been generated easier here. I mean, as it is, I think they're gonna do 14,000 for sure here for this fight. So it's gonna be good. And as you said, once he steps in the ring, people forget about it. And then if he ends up fighting Regis in the summer or later on this year, it'll just be essentially something to get him ready for that fight.
Exactly, because I know Jose very well, and those that have been around him know that that's the fight that he's gonna want after. Because Jose stepped aside because of his wedding last year. He was the one that
Hmm.
was supposed to fight for the title against Cepeda, but he had a wedding, and that's important too for him. That was very important. So he stepped away, and he was scheduled to fight the winner. That was
Yeah.
the agreement. The WBC ordered it and everything. But when it comes to business, it's ridiculous for people to criticize Jose for not taking it when honestly Jose makes three or four times more money than what he was going to make against Regis, who is a very dangerous, very hard opponent. So it just didn't make sense. So we were able to convince him and talk him into doing, going elsewhere because it was just going to be, something that just didn't make sense. It happened to us, about a year ago when Gallo Estrada
Hmm.
was champion WBA. Then the WBA ordered him to fight Joshua Franco, and he vacated the title. That doesn't mean he's afraid of Franco. It just means that it didn't make sense for him. The first bid was like a hundred and something thousand. So
I remember,
you
yeah.
know exactly. So why would he? What did he do? He just vacated the title. He just
Yeah.
vacated, and then the WBA just elevated Franco to the super champion. So nobody says anything because Gallo already beat Chocolatito and became champion again. Everything's cool. So that it's gonna be the same thing with Jose. When it happens, people bring it up and people talk about it. But once Jose gets a good win, then people forget about it.
Yeah, And as it is, Comey's a real tough fighter. He's gonna probably give him some good rounds, and it
Oh,
just
definitely.
and it's gonna just depend on what Jose brings. And if he's able to end it early, do you think Jose has the camp, as you said, to where he's gonna end this maybe within 6 rounds, or you think it's gonna go further than that?
You know what? We can't think Comey is going to be just a fight where we could go out there and destroy this guy in less than 6 rounds. It could happen. Jose has power. Jose has that heart, that determination to finish him. So if he hurts him, of course he's going to finish him. But we're not planning on that. We're ready for 12 rounds because it's a 12 round fight, and Jose's ready to do all those rounds. He did his rounds with Raymond Morataya. He did his rounds with uh, Brandon. Brenda Lee, a
Okay.
lot of rounds. That was one of the main sparring partners. So he's in great shape. He did his rounds. We should go out there and perform and do our job. But Coleman's not easy. We can't think it's going to be a walk in the park. We have to be ready for a tough fight.
Yep. And you mentioned Brenda Lee. That actually gives me a question. Seeing Brenda Lee, because a lot of people question how good he is. Seeing him sparring with Jose, what did you see from him? As a fighter.
Uh, the kid is very talented, man. He's different in styles. One of those kids that at times you might think he's not trying, but out of a sudden he surprises you with a fast left hook with the right hand. He's one of those guys that's kind of fooling you around. Kind of seeming like he's not really motivated or like he's not in there, but then he surprises you. That kid is. He's got great power. He's got a great team behind him. So I think he's got a bright future. I think he's a solid threat at 140.
Okay, yeah, and he had a tough fight a couple fights ago, I believe, and he's back. I believe is it in the next week or a couple weeks as well. So
Yeah, he's
that's
gonna fight a couple weeks after Jose. Yes,
yeah, so that's good. That's good training for both of them. Jose's
that
fighting
was perfect. Yes,
a younger, strong fighter as well. So that's good. Um,
correct.
but you were mentioning Joshua Franco. Good friend here. Obviously, we all know he beat Ioka on New Year's. We all know that. Mikey made it clear during the announcement of the fight that he thought Joshua won. So the rematch should be coming, I believe, over the summer. Were you guys
Yes,
surprised? Because to me, it looked like Joshua had an easier time than I was expecting. I thought it'd be a close fight, and I
correct,
think Joshua won 8 rounds, 9 rounds. Were you guys surprised at how
correct.
maybe how easy it looked for him?
You know what? Not really surprised because Joshua had a great camp. He trained very hard. He was doing so good in sparring. I'm not gonna say who he was sparring because he hurt his opponents in sparring a few times. He dropped a couple of them, so he was motivated. He hadn't fought in over a year, and he was just so disappointed with what happened with Golden Boy Promotions. He was just not being active. There was no fights for him. Then his brother, at the same time when he was off, his brother blew up. So all the attention was on his brother. So it was frustrating. He was mad at the way at boxing. There was a point where he just wanted to retire. He just wanted to say, that's it. I just don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
But we were able to convince him. And he had a great training camp. He trained like never before, and he went out there and did what he did. I think. We also think we won, but we also can't take nothing away from Ioka. He's a warrior too, and now we're going back in June, and we're gonna have the second fight, and it's gonna be another great fight.
Now, with what happened with that first one, do you believe that's going to put more pressure on the judges there, or do you believe it puts more pressure on Josh to maybe try to get a knockout to show that he's the rightful winner again?
Well, I think both because after the fight, everybody, even the commissioners there in Japan, because the judges were not Japanese, so the judges came from different countries, but they were in Japan, favoring obviously the local fighter. But after the fight, all the reporters and all the commissioners, they all told me, "You guys won. We all know that you guys won, but it's just part of boxing." We didn't. We were not mad because of that because you go to a different country, you definitely got to knock them
Yeah.
out. So in the second fight, I think that's what Josh is going to go out for. He's going to try to go out there for the knockout. And plus, we also know that even though he looked so good and dominated so good, he hadn't fought in about a year and a half. So that was he had some ring rust in him too.
Yeah.
So I think this fight in June is going to make a big difference. I think he's going to be much better.
Okay. And by any chance, is there going to be any English based TV for that? Because we had to pull some tricks. We used Mikey. We used all these different ways to
Exactly.
get the fight. Do you think there's going to be a English broadcaster for that fight?
Well, as of right now, we're still not official, but we're teaming up with Mr. Honda at Taken Promotions, and we're see if Mr. Honda could, because he's the one that could do that could make that happen. So we're trying to see if we could hook up with him and be part of that promotion, so he could bring it to the United States. We're still working on that. It's still not official. If not, we're gonna have to do the same thing, with Mikey or any other. There was a few apps that were able to
Yeah.
put it up. So we'll definitely figure something out. And if there's no American TV that could broadcast it, then we'll let everybody know. How to find. If it's
Yeah.
Mikey, because I know Mikey will
Yeah.
be back in Japan with us. So that way everybody can get a chance to see it.
Okay. Okay. So there's a chance that Josh signs with Tekken Promotions as well.
Well, look. The thing is that with Mr. Honda, it's just about let's talk. We make an agreement. We don't have no contract with Mr. Honda. Neither does his Joshua Franco, Bam Rodriguez. We don't have a contract. Mr. Honda is just our promoter because we're loyal to him, and he's been very good to us.
Hmm.
And now with Franco, same thing. Both brothers are very happy. They both love Japan. They both loved it over there. So Mr. Honda is part of both of them now.
Yeah, and then in boxing, if you ever hear anybody discuss Mr. Honda, it's always with nothing but respect. Any promoter, any fighter, anybody that talks about him with nothing but pure respect. So, I could definitely see that as well.
So he's one of those persons that you don't need a contract with because he's very honest. He's going to tell you if you're not happy, you can go. He's not going to try to hold you back because you have a contract. So that's why you don't. There's no other promoter in the world. From Don King to Bob Arum to Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearn, whatever. Nobody says Mr. Arum. Nobody says Mr. Don King. And Mr. Honda.
Yeah,
Everybody says Mr. Honda. That's just a big difference. He's a very respected man in boxing, and like I told you, we've never even had a signed contract with him, but we're very happy with the work that he does, and we're very happy having him in our team.
yeah, and that just shows the class that everybody has for him and
Exactly.
how he shows everybody else. So I got a couple questions here. AlDub Boxing wants to know: is it possible that Falco will fight for the vacant IBF title on the Haney Lomachenko card or the Taylor Teofimo card?
You know what? It would be awesome to be on either of those. Those are great, and they're 2 weeks from or 2 or 3 weeks from each other, so that would be perfect. We were scheduled to fight in April because Falcao is already in camp. We were scheduled to fight in April, end of April, in Australia, but it seems like the guy from Australia, whatever, I don't even remember his name, he decided to go through the WBA
Yeah,
route.
what
So
Lara?
now Exactly. So now the IPF is going. I think they're putting that number three guy. I think he's from Germany. So that's the guy that it looks like Falcao will be fighting. We're still, I think, Top Rank still working on it. Maybe making that German an offer, or maybe they're gonna make us an offer and see what balance is better for us. But Falco is already in training camp, and I'm my dad, myself, my son, everybody. We're telling them this is what everybody dreams of one day to become world champion. And honestly, he can't get a better opportunity, because number one, the champion was Triple G, and if Triple G didn't make it, we had to fight Triple G.
Yeah.
And let's not be realistic; it wasn't going to be an easy fight.
Hmm.
Triple G is still very dangerous. So things couldn't work out better for him. So he's already training hard, already getting in really good shape, doing very good strength training with the conditioning coach that we have, and sparring good. So as soon as we know the date, we'll be more. It would be very nice to if it would be May 20th or June 10th, I believe, June 11th, something like that.
Yeah, and seeing with Falco, so I seen him when he first started out here in Fresno on a lot of Jose's undercards way back
Right.
when, and now I've seen him progress and get better. What have you seen from the day he walked into your gym up to now, where he's going to be fighting for a world title?
Well, you know what? In boxing, sometimes sometimes things come at the right time. I think if from when he came in to now, he's got much better and his experience is so much better. But it's also been too many years of training camps, diets, sparring, especially sparring. And when you're sparring in my gym, there's no easy
Yeah,
sparring. So all that also comes a point where it might be too much. And with Falcao, it's coming at the right time because if we had to wait another year or 2 more years, then his body was going to just be frustrated, tired, and never get that opportunity. So I think fighters need to be directed, through their promoters and managers to where when it's time, let's do it. And I think right now it's time for Falcao to fight for the title.
yeah, and the Australian fighter you're talking about was Safara.
Yeah,
Yeah, Michael Safara. But yeah, so I
correct.
think he's going against Lara, and
That's what I heard.
yeah, and Falco gets the other one. Now with Triple G, because a lot of fans were upset. He prolonged these mandatories for so long. Do you think that there is a reason to be frustrated from the fans for what he did, or do you think that he earned the right to be able to do pretty much what he wanted to do? Because the mandatories were
Well,
ordered in October, I believe, right? And then he
yeah.
barely vacated them now recently.
You know what? It is frustrating for us, obviously, as the fighters, and me having one of the challengers. Uh, it is frustrating, and we get a little disappointed because he was just holding everybody back and everybody back. But he is Triple G. He has. You come to a point where you're a Triple G, a Canelo, a Mayweather, a Cotto, and you could do stuff like that. You could get away with stuff like that. Not anybody could do it, and he's one of them that could. So we also have to respect that. I can't uh, be mad or talk smack about him because he is the man. He is Triple G. He could do whatever he wants. Look, he vacated both titles. I don't know what his plan is, but he could still fight and still make a lot of money
Yeah.
with no belts on the line.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, as you said, it makes sense. I mean, it's frustrating, but as you said, he's one of those guys that earned that right to do it.
Correct.
So AlDub again said that he went to your card in January. It was a good family atmosphere, and he's ready to go back on April 15th to the next one.
It was great, man. We had a great crowd. I was actually surprised how the fans, the people responded. The fights were all local guys. And it was awesome, man. Everybody had a great time. There was a lot of beer was sold.
Hmm.
It was just one of those nights where everybody went to have fun. No, there was no fights. It was just one of those nights where boxing was on a small card. It was probably one of the best small cards that I've ever been to. And it was my card, so it
Yeah,
was it was unbelievable. Our next card is April 15th, but we're not going to have it at the same location. We will be making an announcement pretty soon. It's going to be close by also, but it'll be something that's going to make a little bit of noise because I'm teaming up with another promoter.
oh, okay, okay. So that's a good tease for you guys right there. He's got a big show coming
Right,
in, and
right.
so Toyo Emilio also said hello. Saludos, Robert. What's up, Santoyo? And then Nika said hello as well. So
Awesome.
next week, you have a lot of fighters on the card. You got Murataya. You got I call him. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what you guys call him, but I call him El Gigante because that dude is huge.
That's his
Mirales, man,
nickname, the giant, the gigante.
that dude is
Yeah.
huge, man. Um, so when you have cards like that where you have more than one fighter on there, how do you stay focused on each one, and how do you know to when you got to switch? Because obviously with some of them, it's their fights coming up. With Murataya and Jose, those are bigger fights. So how do you know how to navigate that way through each fight and through the event?
Well, it won't be hard because besides myself, I have Pita, I have Chepe, I have Felipe, and my dad. They're always there helping out in whatever we need to do. But this fight won't be difficult at all because I know El Gigante Mireles will probably be one of the first fights,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have Raymond who will be I think the last fight before TV starts.
Yeah.
But when TV starts, we still have a co-main event, and it's a championship fight. So I have more than enough time to wrap Jose and warm him up before his fight. So it won't be any problems at all. I know I have time for all three. And if there was those cases, there has been where I'm fighting back to back, and I have sometimes there's been shows where I have 5 or 6 on the same card.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have my son Pita, Chepe, Felipe, everybody to help out and do whatever. If it's wrapping hands or if it's warming up a fighter, they're there to do it.
Yeah, and then being one of the best trainers in boxing, you are constantly busy. I mean, you've been in Mexico a couple weeks ago. You've
Yeah.
been all over. When you finally get like a weekend off where there's no fights, what do you normally do just to relax and enjoy that time?
I try to spend time with my wife, my kids. I have my kids that it's just Pita that's involved in boxing, but all my other kids, none of them are involved in boxing. So I try to spend time with them, and if it's planning a quick trip, vacation, boxing is, I can't plan on a vacation. Uh, 3 months from now because I don't know what's going to happen. It
Yeah,
has to be like from one day to the other because that's the way boxing is. But I try to do that. We do that with my wife a lot. We take little trips. If it's just to Mexico to Tijuana, we'll
yeah,
drive over, go spend the weekend in Rosarito, Tijuana. That's it. We don't need to do more than that. Whenever I'm able to skip a day or two from the gym, if I'm not very busy in the gym, then I could take a flight to wherever, Cabo or whatever, just to spend time with my wife. But that's the good thing is she's been with me for so many years that she already knows how boxing is. She lived the moments when I was a fighter, which was probably harder because I was gone in training camp for 3 months, at a time. Right now I come home every day. I come home every day. If we go to the fights, it's for the weekend. So I think it was much harder when I was fighting. So she's lived all that. My kids lived it also. So they all know that that's the way it is. I have to provide for the family, and
mhm,
they understand.
yeah, and like I said, man, I've seen your post, your things that you do whenever you're out and about, and still I've noticed even when you're at the fights, you still manage to do something that next day. A lot of the time. So if you're at a card when you just had 3 or 4 fighters, that next day I feel like you still do something for the family if you have the ability to.
No, I have to, man, because sometimes you get back on Sunday mornings, and I always try to get the first flight back home wherever I'm at, first flight back home, so I could be home early in the day, and then just have the rest of the day, even though if it's a Sunday, to spend it with my kids. Just as or just go find a restaurant to go eat and enjoy a nice dinner with the family. That's all that's needed. That's the way I try to do it, and so far it's been great.
Yeah, and I know that's a Ramirez shirt right there, right? You have on, right?
No, it's actually Joshua Franco.
Oh, Joshua Franco. Okay. At first,
Yes, it's Joshua Franco.
I thought you were wearing the Chivas shirt for tomorrow. I know you're a big Chivas
Ah,
fan.
hell no, no. I'm wearing my America shirt.
No, never, man. It's Chivas
Yeah,
tomorrow,
hell
man.
yeah, America shirt. Come on.
Yeah. Now, to switch up a little bit. So, with other sports, as we know, they got the World Baseball Classic. Are you gonna be watching that game tonight, Mexico and Puerto Rico?
I'll probably, yeah, I will watch it because I've been following and everything, online and everything. But I'm not too much of a baseball fan. Besides boxing, I think soccer is the only sport that I watch. I'll watch, basketball game whenever like we're already like looking towards the final games. Baseball, same thing. Football, if it's a Super Bowl. But soccer, I probably watch more soccer than boxing, and I just watch the Mexican League.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it every weekend, even if it's not my team playing. I root for America, and if it's not America, but I still watch the games. I enjoy watching soccer. I like the sport.
Yeah, that's how my dad is. If it's He'll start watching from Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it's on,
Yes.
through Sunday. It doesn't matter if it's not his team. His team's not in there right now because they're in the second division, Morelia. But
Yeah.
yeah, he watches it all the way through, and Yeah, we're Chivas
Yeah.
fans, so yeah, that's that's how we are
Is
here.
that from Michoacan?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, because Morelia is I know there's like America and Chivas are probably like the only two teams where people from all over
yep,
Mexico go for them. I think everybody else, if you're from Monterrey, you obviously go for Monterrey or Tigres. If you
yep,
if you're from Michoacan, then you go for Morelia. So
yeah,
I think that's the way it is. America and Chivas are the only
yep,
two teams that have us from all over.
yeah. He's from Alpalcingan. That's where my family's from.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so he's a Morelia fan. But Chivas, I mean, when I first started watching soccer from the leagues, it was Chivas that would always come on every Saturday or Sunday. So that's why I started
right,
watching, and then I was like, oh, Morelia, okay, cool. But yeah,
right, right.
it's always been that. So yeah, I'm the same way. I could watch soccer all day, World Cup, other leagues, I could watch them all the time. But yeah, I mean, I'm more
Yeah,
into all sports, but yeah, boxing and soccer
I,
probably the
but
top.
I enjoy soccer more than anything else. Even here in LA, I
Oh yeah.
I used to go to LA Galaxy games a lot, but now I prefer going to LAFC.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, they are
Yeah,
the defending champs, so I mean, makes
yes,
sense.
correct.
Yeah. So, have you been to the games when they play the what's it called the Tráfico when they're playing LA against LA?
I never been to one of those, but I've been to the LAFC games and I love it.
Yeah.
They have some fans that are you know very very different from LA Galaxy fans. The fans at LAFC the crowd is unbelievable, man. I enjoy going to the games. I take my wife, my kids, and we just have a good soccer game, and we just enjoy it.
Yeah. The atmosphere that I see when the game's on, it looks crazy. And then
It
I
is.
believe
It is. It's really nice.
they played last week in Costa Rica or somewhere,
Yeah.
and a lot of the fans actually
Yeah.
traveled for that game, and it was crazy.
Right. No, they have great following, man. It's unbelievable. I love it. They have so many different songs and cheerings and everything that my wife and my daughter they know them all. I don't because I'm not that kind. But it's just fun being at those games.
Yeah, and yeah, and then it does. I know they're gonna play Galaxy. I think 4th of July this year. The reschedule
Nice.
from the last
I'll
game.
probably
So
be
they, yeah,
there.
they're gonna
I
play
want to be there.
at the
I'm gonna try
Rose
to be there.
Bowl. They're gonna play at the Rose
Oh,
Bowl this year.
that's nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
I'm
yeah, so
definitely gonna
that's
try to be there.
yeah, so that's a big game. I know I want to go to one of those games too. Just I don't. I can tell everybody I don't have a dog in that fight, but I love watching those games just because they
Right.
just look. It's a rivalry game, and as you know, Chivas and
So,
America, that's the Mexican rivalry. So here
so
we got this one. So yeah, it looks like
that is
a
true.
big atmosphere. So yeah, Rose Bowl would be
It
crazy.
is
And
nice.
you you mentioned Bam earlier. We all talked about it. His year was incredible. I mean, that was just one of the. I put him as one of my fighters of the year last year. I had to
Yeah,
put it as a three-way tie, but he was definitely there because of everything he did. When I speak to other people about it, it was we were saying, "Oh, this guy's next. He's next up, probably a year or two away," and he just jumped the line and said, "No, I'm right now," and took over. With
correct.
his next fight now, he's had a few months off. Gave him time to heal, rest, relax. What do you see in him in the gym now, knowing that he's got another fight coming up in a few weeks as well?
Well, knowing that it's for another title, getting down in weight, an extra 3 pounds, he's very motivated. He's very dedicated. He wants to be a two-time champion, and that's just like I've told everybody, man. That's just the beginning for Bam, man. This kid is gonna be. I've had with Nonito Donaire, who is a fourth division champion, Mikey, a fourth division champion, Abner Mares, a three division champion. You know, I've told my dad, my son, Chip, everybody, and Bam himself. He knows he's going to be my first five-division champion because this kid is just unbelievable. He trains harder than anybody else in the gym, and just his skills, his the way he dominates in the ring. Again, it doesn't matter who he's sparring. We got a lot of guys closer to his weight, but he spars my lightweights. He's
Oh
just
wow!
this kid is unbelievable, man. So I said it before he was a champion because obviously at that weight division nobody really paid attention to him because he was actually fighting at 108. I just needed that opportunity, and when that chance came to fight Cuadras, I knew that was going to make him a superstar
Yeah,
because I know what I got.
Yeah, and so you said 5 division. So you think he's going to be able to go back to 108, and then obviously the
Not
ceilings.
108,
Oh,
112, 112, and then he's going to go up to 115 again. But I think eventually, he's only 23.
yeah.
So let's also, don't forget. Let's also not forget that he still has 3 or 4 more years just to
Hmm.
be in his prime.
Yeah.
So I think he'll end up being a featherweight, maybe even a super featherweight, because he's not very short either.
Yeah.
And I see fighters like I'm not saying he's ready for them, but I see fighters like Oscar Valdez, who is not much taller than him. I think they're probably about the same height. And Valdez was already a champion at 130.
Yeah. 126
So
and
if
130.
this kid, we have to let his body develop. Obviously, I'm not saying right now because right now his frame is very small. But eventually, 3 4 years from now, he's going to be 27, 26, 27. Uh, I think he'll be able to compete. The super the featherweight, the maybe the super featherweights. I know that he will.
Okay. All right. So that's a good thing to look forward for. And then obviously as the years go, more fighters will move up. Those will be bigger fights, and then he's gonna be. It looks like right now he's gonna be the superstar of the lower weights going forward. Estrada,
I think he will.
Chocolatito, they don't
Correct.
have too much more time left. So and then maybe he
And
gets
before and
Estrada.
before and before their time is up, that's the fight that Bam wants. He already told us. He told us in the gym. You know what? After this fight, I want to go back to 115 because we read and we heard a little bit about Gallo Estrada maybe fighting sometime in July or August. So he wants that fight to be next. He wants to go back to 115 to fight Gallo Estrada in July or August, whenever Matchroom gives Gallo Estrada his date. That's the fight that he wants, and I know it's very easy to make because Gallo wants the fight,
Yeah.
and they both fight for Matchroom, so it would be perfect. It's just a fight that needs to happen, and Bam, I know Bam wants it, and we want it, and I think Gallo wants it too. So it's a fight that should happen by July or August.
Okay, that's perfect. And any idea where you guys would want to have that fight? I know he's fighting in his hometown again, but Gallo seems to draw a crowd too wherever he goes.
Well, you know what? I know he wouldn't want to fight in Texas either. So, I know Gallo and Chocolatito did really good
Arizona.
numbers when it came to the big in Arizona.
Yeah.
So we could go to a neutral spot in Arizona and do it in Arizona. We could even do it here in California. I think California has a big
Hmm.
following. Somewhere, wherever, the Forum,
Oh, yeah,
something
perfect.
like that would be unbelievable. Uh, Staples Center, crypto, whatever it's called right now, wherever. I think it's a fight that would generate a lot of attention. Arizona or California would be the place. I would love that fight to happen. July or August.
Yeah, that would definitely be a great spot in California. Anyone that you mentioned, or as we talked about, maybe even the LFA AC Stadium. I think that could be a
That
good
would be
spot too.
awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
would be nice. Plus, it's the summer, so it'll be nice weather
yep,
and everything.
yeah, I went to the other card that they had, I believe a couple years ago with Zurdo and JoJo on there. So that would be a
Yes,
good card to
we were
have.
there
Yeah,
too. It was nice, really
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So that'd be a good stadium. Um,
Correct.
Speaking about it, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier before we got on. Zurdo missing weight by 12 pounds, 7 pounds, whatever they keep going back and forth. Um, we know fighters miss weight for certain things, but when you see somebody miss by that much as a trainer yourself, if you're in that position, do you feel more so like pissed off at the fact that you might not get the pay, or just the lack of respect and just unprofessionalism in missing weight by that much?
That's lack of respect, to the sport, to his promoter, to his team. It's happened to me before. I've had fighters that come in, that are training, but never check their weight, and then come the day of the weigh-in, you know, could be 10, 12 pounds, and that's just unheard of. That means you didn't even try. You
Yep.
didn't even want to. You were going home, because we're not, the trainers are not babysitters. I don't babysit my fighters. When I go home, after training, I go home to my family. They have a responsibility to eat healthy, to stay in shape, to drink a lot of water. I don't have that problem with Jose Ramirez. I don't have the problem with Franco or Bam. at all. Raymond Murataya, he's very dedicated. I don't have a problem. I don't go home with them. They go home by themselves. If a fighter misses weight by 12 pounds, I understand sometimes the last 2 or 3 pounds are very hard
Mm-hmm.
because I lived it. I went through it. Very hard. Sometimes your body gives up, but not 12. When you're 12 pounds overweight, that means you didn't even try. That is disrespecting your team, disrespecting your promoter, matchmakers, because everybody works hard to make those fights happen, and it just everybody loses because not just the percentage that we're gonna get, because sometimes the percentage is not even a lot of money. Sometimes they even work out a percentage where a lot of trainers don't even get the 10% of that's rightful for them to get. Sometimes they get a lot less. But bottom line is, you miss weight by so much that's been disrespectful to the sport, disrespecting the sport.
Yeah, and then a lot of people complained about the fight being Gabe Rosado, someone who's been in a lot of wars, but I think Ernie Gavion, the Everlast representative, made a lot of sense with it when he said, "Feel how you do about the fight, but that was a payday that Gabe was waiting on, and now he's not getting nothing for it." So I think that's where I seen it too. Was it's disrespecting him as well because he trained, he made weight, he did his work, whether you like the fight or not. He did his job, and now he's out of a payday just because, as someone said, it was a reckless behavior by the other fighter.
You know what? The fight was announced and what the fight was talked about a couple months ago. So the fight was agreed to. So Surdo knew about it.
Yep.
Sometimes there's fighters that are so proud or they have so much pride that don't want to fight a fighter with so many losses. And it could happen if the fight if you're fighting a certain fighter and then the week of the fight your fighter gets injured or something happens to him and they bring you a replacement, then then sometimes you're forced to fight somebody that you really don't want to because of the record or because of what the crowd are gonna say. But this fight had been
Yep.
announced for at least a month and a half ago. So it's not like Surdo didn't want the fight. I think it was just he just didn't motivate him. After being in the big stage, and I don't even know what kind of money he made, but I'm pretty sure he made really good money against Bivol. I
Yep.
think he just thought this fight is going to be easy. There's no problem. I don't have to work hard. I think he just took it lightly, and look, now he missed weight by 12 pounds. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what somebody said. It's hard to get motivated for the next fight when you just finished cashing
True.
that Saudi check out there. So
I agree.
yeah. So I mean, I
I
think
agree.
the stories were somewhere around 4 million, give or take. So that's a lot of money for a fight. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So last few ones, they have another question about what's any updates on Giovanni Santos.
You know what? He's been coming to the gym to spar. There's still no updates. A couple months ago I was told he would be on the same card here in Fresno. But they they had to pull him out because he's co-promoted by Thompson. So I
Mm.
think I think the way they work it out with Top Rank is I think Thompson gives him one fight and then Top Rank another. Unless they work out a deal with the opponent or something, but as from right now, that's what I was told. That's the reason he's not, because Thompson's the one that's supposed to give him a fight. But I really don't know. He's been coming to the gym, sparring my guys, but there's no update right now.
Okay. And then I'm gonna ask a few questions about upcoming fights that don't involve your fighters. So just your straight thought on this. Next week, obviously you have Jose, but there's another fight that same night, probably one of the biggest fights of the year, in David Benavides
Yes.
and Caleb Plant. How do you see that fight going, and who do you think is gonna be the winner there?
You know what? From what you see on social media and all that talking back and forth, that's building up the fight. Plus, it's going to be a great fight. I
Yeah.
think at this point, Yellow Plant is going to be in great shape, probably in the best shape of his life because he definitely needs this win. But I think Benavides is just too much for him, just too big, too strong, too fast. I think Benavides will stop Killer Plant.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And then in the probably the biggest fight commercially of the year at this point, Tank and Ryan Garcia. How do you see that one going? Now that it's officially announced and it looks like it's going to happen.
Can't wait for that fight, man, because I know there's so much back and forth, from people thinking who's going to win. And if you talk about boxing and the way it should be, I think everybody can agree that Tank will be the favorite to win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2, 3 to 1. Most of the people could be picking Tank, and that's and he's a 3 division champion already. He's fought championship fight. Ryan has never fought for a world title, so there you could easily say Tank should win, but I still don't count Ryan out, man. Ryan is so fast and so strong that when he's fighting a lefties, and he's a bigger man. So I think Tank's gonna have to find his way in, and on the way in is when Ryan is most dangerous with that
Yeah.
left hook. Plus, it's gonna be the Tank's head face is going to be closer to him because of the stance. So I think that check hook that Ryan uh, throws so fast and so strong that if he catches him, he's going to hurt him. So me personally, I pick Ryan.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, you're going on the limb there.
I think he will. Shouldn't it should be a fight where Tank, with the experience, with all the what he's already accomplished and all the wins that he's had, the belts that he has won, it should be Tank without a question. But that that power and speed that Ryan has, I think he's gonna hurt him. And I
Okay.
think when he hurts him,
So that was my next question. When comparing the two, Tank, he shows that he has a really good solid chin. He's taking some hard shots. He's never really been in there where he's hurt or in trouble. Do you think that's what would help Ryan, because Ryan's been dropped, he's been hurt, and he responded? Do you think that helps him going into this fight if he is able to hurt Tank, or if Tank hurts him? Do you think that helps Ryan with that experience in that point?
I think it is gonna help him. Plus, I know Ryan's not gonna take chances. He's gonna wait for the moment. If it takes 10, 11 rounds, he's gonna wait for that moment. I don't think Ryan's gonna go out there trying to find that right punch. I think he's gonna be more using his long jab and fighting, careful to wait for that right moment to land his power punch. Because Tank is the shorter guy, so he's the one that's gonna have to try to go out and look for those, because he's been doing, that's what he does. He takes the first few rounds off, and then finds the timing and the right punch to land. And that's happened in his last couple of fights. We've seen it, where we might even be thinking he's losing a few rounds. He's lost a few rounds,
Yeah.
especially against Garcia.
Oh yeah.
I think he lost a few rounds. It was a very, very close fight until he landed and hurt him, and,
Mm-hmm.
and, and obviously the fight ended. But with Ryan, it's gonna be different, man. It's gonna be different. I think Ryan's gonna be waiting for that one punch, and when he lands it, I think he will land it. I think he will land it. I think if Ryan fights Garcia, the guy
Hector.
that Tank just fought, I think if Ryan goes out there, he'll knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
I really
Something.
believe I
Yeah.
think so.
And then they have a common opponent in Francisco Fonseca, and Tank stopped
Correct.
him, I think, in 8 or 9 rounds, and Ryan stopped him in,
Correct.
what was it, 20 seconds or so? So
Exactly.
yeah, he stopped him early.
And I'm telling you, I know Garcia because he actually trained with me in my gym uh, before he moved on into Vegas, and I know that Ryan will knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds.
Okay, that's gonna ruffle some feathers when they hear that one. Um, so one more question here. They're asking about Javi El Guerrito Samaron, if there's any updates on him.
He's fighting April 1st. He's fighting back home. Uh, he's in camp right now, been sparring and training good. So he's gonna be fighting April 1st.
Okay, there you go. You got that, Centeo. So my last one about the fights: Haney and Lomachenko, May 20th. Who do you have in that one? And do you think Lomachenko could pull off the win?
I can't count Lomachenko out because he's so smart in the ring, and he's so difficult also with his style, his angles, that I always got to uh, give him a chance because he's actually, I could say, probably one of my favorite fighters because of the way he boxes. I love his boxing style, his footwork. I love fighters with good footwork, and he's one of them. But I think he's just too small for these guys, man. I think Haney's too big. Haney's just one of those guys that could just fight smart on the outside and not take chances and win a decision. Similar to what Ryan is going to try to do against Tank. The only difference is that Ryan has that crazy power. I don't think Haney has. So that's why I think Ryan could hurt Tank when he lands. But Haney will box, keep him on the outside, just use those long jabs, straight right hands, and win a decision. I think that's what we'll see in the fight. And I think I see Haney winning, but uh, I still don't want to count Loma out because he's got so much experience. He's such a great fighter, very smart in the ring, and he's been pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. It's just maybe at this time he didn't look too great in his last fight. He's too small for that division, so that's why I have to pick Haney.
Okay, and yeah, that's definitely. I think the consensus is that Haney is
The
bigger.
best thing about that is that I'm also going to be on that card with my fighter Raymond Murataya. I will be fighting on that card, and it's going to be a very very big fight. He's fighting next Saturday, so we can't really say anything about his next fight, but he will be on that card, and we already have an opponent and everything. It's a huge fight, and it's going to be some kind of a title eliminator. So he'll be out there with the 135 pounders after his next two fights. People will be talking about him challenging those guys because he's ready for those guys. It doesn't matter who at 135. Raymond Murataya will be ready after May 20th. He'll be ready against. He'll be ready to fight any of those guys.
And speaking of that, I won't say it because I know who that talk is of who it's supposed to be. He's a former world title challenger. I do know that for a
Yeah,
fact, and I'll leave it
yeah,
there just so I won't put it out there. But I know who it is as well, and that's a big fight. I honestly wish that would have been happening here this week, but still,
correct.
it's still a big fight, man. And once the announcement comes
It is
out, the people will love it.
correct.
So but we'll get into Raymond real quick. I spoke with him a few weeks ago. I know he's ready. I know he's motivated. I know he's excited for his fight, and we know he hits hard. Um, I'm going to be speaking to his brother soon too. When you see what he does in the gym, and you see the people he's in there with, maybe similar to Bam, coming up and training with these world champions, what do you see from him going forward? Because I mean, I see maybe a multiple time world champion in Raymond.
I agree with you, man. This kid is one of those special ones. One like I said before Bam became a champion. That's the one to keep an eye on. And when he became champion, that's what everybody was talking about. I think Raymond's very similar, and probably will get more attention because he's at a lightweight
Yeah.
division. He's not a flyweight. You know what I mean? So it's a big difference. When you're talking about lightweights with the champions that are, the fighters that we have at lightweight, it's just unbelievable. So I think after his next performance and then the May 20th fight, you know, he's gonna make a lot of noise. It's we've been like they've been kind of holding us a little bit and out of the radar because the right time just hasn't come yet. He's still this will be his first 10 rounder next week, so that's another reason why I don't want to push it too 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 fast because people could say, oh, he hasn't even fought 10 rounds. But after his next fight, it will be a 10 rounder, so that way I could say whatever I want about him because that kid's the real deal. He spars with all my guys in the gym, and Jose was one of the guys that he was sparring for this fight. They helped each other a lot, very very well. They both did great sparring, and he's in the gym, and there's times where he's another one of his main sparring partners was Leonardo Acevedo, Leonardo Ruiz Acevedo. He's a 154 pounder. Those are the guys he's
Yeah,
sparring
big
because
guts.
sometimes it's hard to find him sparring partners too because he's just one of those special ones too.
Yeah, and like I said, I
And
seen him.
besides that, very smart man.
Yeah,
His brother's a school teacher. He's still online getting college classes because his mom pushes them to do a lot of classes online, and he's he's looking at already getting a career besides boxing, because because boxing is not forever. So very smart kids. I'm very happy and very proud that they represent us, because they're very smart. Those kids are two bright kids.
Yeah, and like I said, I seen him coming up, and I've noticed that power that he carries, and I'm looking forward to seeing him here again next Saturday in
Yeah.
person, and it's gonna be a great show, you know, going forward. And then, as I said, you got a busy schedule coming up all the way, through the end of the year, it appears. So, man, thank you for taking time out today, man. I know you, as you said, you were just getting out of the gym, so thank you for taking time out, man. I always appreciate, always good time talking to you, and definitely gonna see you next week, man. I'll pretty much all week, man.
Awesome, Mike. Thanks for having me, my man.
No, no problem, man. Anybody you want to give a
Thank
shout out to
you.
before we head out?
Nah, just everybody out in Central Valley. We're gonna be there pretty much since Wednesday. I know there's a lot of love and support for Jose Ramirez and the rest of my team. I've always gone up everywhere I go. I get a lot of support. My son says it, perfectly. When we go to Jose's fights, it's just different. The love that the people have for Jose is different than going to a fight in LA, because when you go to LA, those are fights where is the place to be. You got
Yeah.
see what you're wearing, see what what kind of watch you have. It's Hollywood. In Fresno, it's all people that work in the fields. It's all
Hmm.
people that are real fans, and that support Jose. So the crowd, the chants, the screaming they do when we're walking to the ring, it's the best feeling ever.
Yep. So you guys tune in next Saturday. If you can't be at the fight, tune in next Saturday. ESPN Plus, and I believe ESPN after that, 7 o'clock all week. If you
Yeah.
guys want to, hopefully catch anything in person, they'll be here all week as well. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Robert, again for stopping by today, and we'll see
Awesome.
you next week. And we'll catch you guys later on, man. Thank you for tuning in.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
bye
you,
bye.
bro.